I felt like I was led of the Holy Spirit to pray for our church, specifically for our church. And one of those things that I prayed for was that we would be fruitful in this year in particular in raising up the next generation who's going to carry this gospel beyond us when our time is done, should the Lord tarry. And my heart is so full because here we are like 2/3 of the way through the year. We've already invested in 3 pastoral interns, Josh and Brent and Janae, who are serving our church this year in a part-time paid capacity and pursuing full-time ministry, being trained and studying for full-time ministry. So there's the 3 interns. On top of that, we sent Heather Haney off to the medical mission in Niger, right, born and raised here. Now she's serving overseas, sent out from MRCC. Then there's Jeff Mason, who we sent to Zambia. He moved to Zambia, aided by us in recognizing his calling. Last week, there's a young man from our community that headed out to a 4-month pastoral training facility. We scholarshiped him. And this morning, we're celebrating the call that God has placed on Jakin Rogel's life. Now, Jakin is going to come in just a moment, and he is going to preach the 3rd sermon of his entire life. The first 2 were the last 2 services, all right? Okay? He's going to come up and do that in just a moment. And then, this week, he leaves to Grand Canyon University in Arizona, where he's going to spend the next 4 years studying to be a pastor. That's the call that God's laid on his life. We've been talking and praying about that for several months, been talking and praying with his family about it for a lot longer. But this is the last time you're going to see his face before Christmas. I say that just so Diane will start crying over here, kind of on cue in a moment. But he's responding to God's call to a life of ministry. And we are thrilled as a church as well to be part of a scholarship that is going to support him $1,000 every semester all the way through school. Amen. So it's pretty cool stuff. This is only his 3rd sermon ever. Would you encourage him and make him feel welcome?
Check. We on? Perfect. All right. So, starting off here, I just want to really thank Pastor Greg for giving me this opportunity. It is so much fun to stand up here in front of people that I've looked up to growing up and to tell them about Jesus and my relationship with him. Starting things off, I would like to pray. So everyone can bow their head real quick. Get right to that. Dear Jesus, please just flow here, God. Just fill this place, Jesus. Help me just to give this word to your people, God. And I pray that it just would fall on open hearts, Jesus. And that we just come to know you better and better. Your whole awesome name, God. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so what I'm going to be talking about today is really myself. Got you. And my walk with Christ. Really how I fell in love with him. The race we are called to run. And why we do it. Starting off today, we're going to be in Hebrews 12. And it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. So before we get into that, I would like to just give you guys a little background about who I am. Best way to do that is to tell a story. It was my sophomore year, high school. It was actually this summer. I was going into my junior year. And I was at something called a leadership camp. And at this camp, we were put into something called a challenge course. And we were in a group of about 8 students. We had 2 leaders. And in this challenge course, it's pretty cliche stuff. Like, falling, they catch you, like trust, So, we are on one of the courses here, and what it is we have one side of a bank, a creek, another side of the bank. On this side, we have both our leaders and a teddy bear hanging above the river. Deep stuff, it's real. And on the left side over here, we had all of us, and like some ropes, some sticks and stuff, and we had to jimmy rig some kind of thing to grab that and pull it on over and save the teddy bear. Now, just to twist it up a little bit more, they took our group and they split us in two. One that could speak, but couldn't mess with any of the materials, and the other that couldn't speak, but could, touch everything. Now, I was obviously put onto the group that couldn't speak, for obvious reasons. I talk too much, I hear. And what we're doing is we're going about this, trying to figure out, very optimistic in the beginning, just wholehearted into yeah, come on, leadership camp, we got this. And then an hour into it, you could say our hopes kind of died down a little bit. And what ended up happening was, everyone that couldn't speak is just literally having the worst time ever. It just had to be the longest duration that I've ever been silent before. And I'm sitting on the bank, listening to those who can speak argue. And what they're arguing about is this ultimatum. And the ultimatum is this: if one of us that couldn't speak were to just jump into the creek, we could just wade over to the other side, grab the teddy bear, and save it. Now everyone else would have to jump into the water too. And on top of that, other people have done it without jumping in. So that's why they were kind of still arguing about it. But an hour and 20 minutes into this, I've kind of had enough. I look across and I'm just kind of looking for some kind of motivation. I might have fabricated it a little bit. But I was looking at my leader, and we just kind of had this unspoken connection where he's just yo man, this is leadership camp. It's time for you to step out, jump into the water, be the hero you were born to be. Something like that. It was all in my head though. And I ended up just jumping in the water and walking over and grabbing the teddy bear. And I could hear, it was like a party. Everyone was just yelling and screaming yay, finally we can speak. And I'm getting high fives. People were slapping me on the back. And that was kind of one of those moments where you're yes, thank you God, you put me here for a reason, I now know. And it was the most bizarre thing, because in the midst of all this cheering, you could hear somebody sobbing, just lightly crying, and as other people began to hear, it got very quiet. And little Tia, probably the sweetest heart girl I've ever met in my life, walks up to the leader and says, I just don't think that one of us should have chosen to jump in before the rest of us had agreed on it. And man, my heart sank. I was shoot, I messed up so bad there. You could hear my feet just drag all the way back as we go into a little circle to talk about it. And as we're in this circle, it comes to my turn, I just don't know what to say. I'm guys, I really messed up. I'm sorry. Can you guys forgive me? And it was so strange because I was expecting them to just come at me and be Jakin, man, you should be so selfish. What's wrong with you? Why don't you think about others more? But all they said was, yep. And that was it. We literally just went on, never spoke about it again. Had the best time ever for the rest of the camp. I couldn't help but relate that to myself, to my walk with Christ. And the reason why is because in my walk with Christ, in this run, when I'm trying, I just try too hard. I do too much. I'm kind of pushing people out of the way so that I can be better, so I can do more. And then I end up just messing up because I'm trying to do it all without Jesus. I'm just trying to all do it without God. And I come to him, I'm hey, can you forgive me? And he's yep. Just blown away. Because every single time I'm expecting him just to rebuke me, to say stuff to me and say, oh, Jakin, you should feel good about yourself. But he's just yeah, I did that for you. Now get to know me. And what's so crazy is the love that I've discovered in Jesus by just getting to know him. And what really draws me to him so much is that just imagine Jesus on the cross, all the pain, all the suffering he's enduring. And during that time, he's thinking, he's man, that guy who kind of tries too hard, messes up, has great intentions, but just doesn't seem to pushes people away to protect himself. This is worth it for him. How can't you love that? How can't you love the one who paid your debt? When that becomes so real to me, I just can't help but just express it, express myself. And what that really brings into us is this position where now we have to learn how to love God. And we need to do it so that we can begin following Him, what they call the race, running the race of Christ. So really how I've done that in my life is what I call the 10-10-10 step process. And what that pretty much is that it's 10 minutes of reading the Bible, 10 minutes of praying, and 10 minutes of speaking to somebody else about Jesus every single day. Every single day. If you can't do 10-10-10, try the shorter version 2-2-2. But like honestly, just taking time to do those 3 things every single day, it's been mind-blowing how I've been able to persevere through so many things with Jesus, continuing with Him and falling so much deeper in love with Him. Because those things are the base. The base of the gospel is love. And if you lose that, you just have religion. And that doesn't work out well. We've seen how that goes. So this leads us into Hebrews chapter 12. Because now we have to figure out, okay, so how do we run this race? Because all of a sudden, everything, all the world comes crashing on top of us, like, hey, you should do this, you should do this with your life. Hey, what are you doing for college? What are you doing for high school? Like, what's going on with you right now? Like, where's your calling at? We just get berated by it. And it's like, oh, how's your career going? All these things that just mess with us. And we have to figure out, hey, how do I keep my eye on God? How do I focus? So we go back to Hebrews 12. It says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. First off, that end part there, fixing our eyes on Jesus. Seems like a theme, loving Jesus, fixing our eyes on Jesus. In other words, the gospel begins with love. It begins with accepting that and coming into that. Now, what else is it talking about? Well, it says, throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. Like, wow, what's so crazy to me is that Paul right now is making a distinction between that which hinders and sin. To put it in better words, things that might be good might not be good for you. Even though it's not a sin, it's not necessarily helping you when you're on your walk with God. I have 2 examples of this in my life. The first one was when I was driving in my car, listening to Christian music, you know, because I'm a Christian. Hey, surprise. And as I'm listening to this, I mean, just real honest moment here, guys, like deep stuff. I was like, God, this music is terrible. I cannot stand this. Like, the beat is off, the rhythm just doesn't work, the words don't even rhyme most of the time. Like, how am I supposed to, like, get spiritual with this, you know? And when God spoke to me, this is a point I want to make real quick about God speaking to us. Like, in our world, there's so much lies and deception. I think our enemy is the father of lies. For you even to comprehend the truth means that God is speaking to you. It means that Jesus is talking to you. So as I'm sitting in that car, it wasn't like some big bang. God was there like, thou shalt not, you know. It was just more like, I just became aware. Like, it just kind of, I realized. And what God said to me was, hey, Jakin, why can't we listen to something that I want to listen to? Why can't we just enjoy something that I like? And that was when my religion became a relationship. Because all of a sudden I knew, oh, God is always with me. Wait, Jesus is always inside me. He's always present. He's always here. If he was right there in the seat next to me as I'm driving my car, bumping that hip-hop, you know, like, would he appreciate that? Would he like that? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with hip-hop or music or anything. When you turn on Taylor Swift right now, you know I'm dancing. I'm getting down to that. But what my point is that if you're listening to that all the time, throw off everything that hinders. It simply hinders. You can have fun, but don't become obsessed with it. That's called an idol. Be obsessed with Jesus.
Amen.
So in my private time, in my quiet time, I listen to worship music. What's crazy about it is once I realize it's all about him, I love it. I listen to it all the time. You know, I'll be in the car with my brother and sister, you know, we're bumping that Chris Tomlin, Toby Mac. It's a party. Like, you cannot get rid of it. The second example I have was when I was going through a harder time in my life. And my lovely parents here, what's up, Mom? We were having a discussion, argument. And the argument was because I was going through a really hard time in life, like tons of stuff was happening to me. I was like, Mom, Dad, hear me out. The solution is a girlfriend. It has to be, like, you've seen the hallmarks. It is a girlfriend. It has to be. No way around that. And I'm just arguing back and forth, and like, I go into my room because, you know, obviously in N where they're just like, no. I just left. And I went to my room, shut the door, you know. They say I'm the drama queen. Wonder why. That's actually a joke we have in our family, is that I'm the first girl in the family, you know, like it's my little sister. But as I'm like in my room just praying to God, I'm like, Jesus, man, like, why'd you give me parents that are so orthodox? Like, come on, like 2017 here. This, oh, wasn't that? That was actually a while ago. But as I'm praying to God, like, again, it just kind of dawned on me. It just kind of came to me. And Jesus was like, yo, Jakin. Jesus is a gangster. I know you're going through a hard time right now. You have a lot of pain. You want someone in your life to support you and to help you. And if I give you that, will I become a third wheel? Where do I fit in that equation? Because I want to be your rock. I want to be your everything.
Amen.
No, in fact, I want somebody for you that's going to help you get to know me more. That's what I'm going to give to you. I'm like not condoning relationships, just like boom, label. No, like, come on. I'm being honest. If your relationship, evaluate it, man. If it hinders, don't just break up with the person. That'd be terrible. Get a lot of complaints. But work it out. Make Jesus the center. Make God the center. Because when love is your center, when love is your rock, then you really love people. Then you're really loving people. And pretty much bringing that together here, what Paul is kind of rolling out to us, is that we should evaluate everything in our life, knowing that Jesus is inside of us. He's with us. I mean, I don't care if it's a movie you're watching, whatever it may be. I've literally had it. No lie. Late at night, I want ice cream. I want to watch Netflix. And that's what I'm doing, you know? I'm about to go open up the fridge. I'm going for that chocolate ice cream. Best thing ever. And God's just like, Jakin, don't you touch that. Put that away. And I'm like, God, why not? He's like, because you're going to eat that. You're going to stay up all night long. In the morning, you ain't going to pray. You ain't going to read your Bible. You're just going to sleep all day. I'm like, oh, man, I got you. So I put it away. But example there, the smallest things ever. You know, it's like some colossal sin. No, it's just that which hinders. So, now that Paul's established that with us, let's see what else he says, because now we have like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through so much stuff? I can't even have ice cream at night. Jakin, you kidding me? Come on. And we're like, why do I want to do that? And people from the outside looking in at Christians are like, yeah, I hear they preach joy and happiness, but I mean, look at how hard they're working. Like, that doesn't look like joy or happiness. It's like a lot of work, like a lot of pain. But what they don't see, and what they don't know, is what Paul talks about in Hebrews. Let's get to it right here. Continuing in chapter 12, it says, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, to not grow weary and lose heart. Again, consider him. Fix your eyes on him. Love Jesus. The gospel is all about Jesus.
Amen.
And here we are. Put yourself back into Jesus' shoes here, up on the cross, literally going through the worst pain imaginable. And it says, for the joy he endured the cross. you mean for the joy? I mean, like, when he's sitting there in all that pain, he's not thinking about it. You know, I titled this sermon here, Seeing Through the Haze. And the reason why is because all these things in our life, all these things going on with us, it's haze. It's just smoke. You got to see through it. You got to penetrate that. And Jesus is sitting here with so many things he could be thinking about. His people rejecting him. Like Peter was like, yo, bro, I got you in these ditches. Like, come on. And then, like, all the pain he's in. What does he think about? Oh my gosh, in 2017, I have a church. And they're going to be with me in heaven. Like, wow. Because of that, he endured the cross.
Amen.
That's why it says he put himself through that pain. So what are we supposed to do? It says, consider him so you do not grow weary and lose heart. Paul's saying, man, we're running. We're in this race right now. We're trying. You got to think about Jesus. You have to think about the joy. What do you mean? I'm talking about the joy when people get persecuted. Christ is uplifted. Like, where else does that happen? What do you have that when you're going through the worst time in your life, you are the happiest you've ever been? You have the most joy. And it blows my mind, because way back 2,000 years ago, in the Colosseum, before Christianity was big, they were like, dude, let's just get rid of this Christian thing. Like, let's just take everybody as a Christian, send them in the Colosseum, they'll finish it, promise. And here are people, Christians, volunteering to go into the Colosseum as people watch. It would blow my mind if I was watching, is that this person's like experiencing the worst death I could think of, and they are sitting there praising Jesus with a smile on their face. Like, how in my life, with everything I have, do I not have even a sliver of joy that that person has in the worst time of their life? And all of a sudden we realize, oh my gosh, like, I'm doing this for the joy. For the fact that one day when I pass away, one day when I die, I'm going to be somewhere. I'm going to be somewhere great in heaven forever with my family, people I love. So when people ask me, hey, Jakin, like, why did you go into the ministry? Why did you do that? I'm like, man, why not? Is there anything else? Of course I'm going to give my life to Jesus. Of course I'm going to give it to him. Why go around the whole world, see everything, and miss the one that created it? Why worship the creation when you know the creator? You don't think there's going to be stuff like that in heaven? Come on. Let's get real. Nothing here compares to it.
Amen.
And it's so beautiful when somebody's passing away, a loved one, you're holding their hand, you look in their eyes, and they believe in Jesus, and you're just sitting there, you can just see that they see something like, wow, man. Like, they're sitting there with a big smile on their face, and they're like, bro, you got to see this someday. Like, this place. And they pass away with joy.
Amen.
That's what's so beautiful about it. That's why I do it. That's why we run this race. And as I'm closing, finally, I just really want to thank all of you guys for just being my church, being supportive. I might not know you, but I've seen you. We're in the body. We're in the church. I might not distinctly hear you, but you're singing. I know. And for whatever reason, you came here today. You chose this place. And because of the love I've gotten from this church, from my family, from everyone, that has given me the ability to see through all this stuff of this world that was going to pull me away. And be like, man, the most important thing is Jesus.
Amen.
There's nothing else, man. And my heart's on fire for it. I don't know if you noticed. So, as I'm closing, I would like to end in prayer. All right, and I think, is Dallas, man? Come on, hurry up. Oh, Dallas has short legs.
We'll give him grace.
Pray for me, Dallas. It makes it so much more spiritual than the guitar is. It's so great. All right, here we go. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for your love, God. I'm up here bouncing around, sound like a fool most of the time, God. I'm a fool for you, Jesus.
Amen.
Can I be a Jesus freak forever? I don't care what they say, God. I don't care what they say. It's all about you. God, you're the one that took my circumstances, Lord, where I was at in my life. And the world was like, hey, this has happened to you, so you have to do this. Hey, your mom went through brain surgery, so now you have to deal with that for the rest of your life. You're broken. Your home's broken. And Jesus came in and he's like, no, that's not true.
Amen.
The world was like, man, your life is so messed up because of the way they treated you, because what happened in your life. And Jesus comes in and he's like, no, I got you. I have you. Because of Jesus, you don't have to deal with the labels of this world. You don't have to deal with those who try and bring you down. You're never alone. I was never truly alone in my walk with Christ. I mean, I thought I was for a time, but Jesus was always there, right beside me. And if the only thing I can do today is just open your eyes so that you see that Jesus is there, Lord. Revival, God. I just thank you so much for your body, for your people, that I can preach up here and not go to jail, God.
Amen.
I'm not being persecuted, Lord, constantly. I praise you for that, God. And your love, man, it's so unbelievable. You know, if I was on your shoes, I wouldn't do that, God. So thank you, Lord, for thinking about me, how you were bleeding out, God. Thinking about us, Lord.
Amen.
I praise you, God, for your awesome name. You deserve it, Father. For an awesome name, amen.
Amen.
And thank you guys so much.
Church, would you stand with me this morning and